What's happening, beautiful? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Joey.
What's going on, you sexy animal?
Well, you know, I've been, for the last 2 days, I've had a terrible earache. And I know you're like, Christ, with the fucking earache again.
Go with the earache.
I know, but it's been hurting. But, and I've just been relaxing because I was so out of control with 23 different million things shaken, and, you're right there.
Go ahead.
And so I've just been kind of relaxing. There you go.
Good.
I
That's
went
what
away.
you're supposed to do.
I went away to San Francisco. That was
Tremendous.
fun.
Did you bump into Tony Bennett, or did you just...
I did not bump into Tony Bennett.
Right, then fuck it. Then you didn't go to
But
San
I want to
Francisco.
tell you this story. So I went to San Francisco with the activity partner, and we stayed at his mother's house, right? And so we're like at the dinner table. I think dinner's already done. And she says to me, "So, you know, I saw the animation you made off of your podcast." And the activity partner got up from the table and pretended to clean up the kitchen. And there was this awesome, awkward silence, you know, because in the animation I talk about the 8 times thing, you know. And it was just pretty fun. That's all I wanted to share.
Tremendous. You're a fucking savage, you know what I'm saying? What else is going on? You got some dates this month? What's going on?
I'm going in February to the San Antonio Laugh Out Loud.
So
and
people are waiting on you already.
that'll be fun.
You know what I'm saying?
And yourself?
Me, I got nothing. I'm just fucking chilling. I'm waiting to see what happens with this knee surgery. Tomorrow I'll call the doctor. He gives me a date, and that's when the rest of the month gets decided.
Yeah.
But this thing's fucking killing me, so I got to
Really?
get this cut. Yeah, it's that time.
Yeah.
I don't want to do no Vicodins or nothing. It was funny because I was really sweating the whole thing because I have the sleep apnea. I'm a fat fuck. And they got to put a tube in my nose, and, you know, just
You're
in
not a
case I
fat
pass
fuck.
out, and they have to slit my throat. So that's what I was really worried about. I know technology has come a long way. You know, you don't have to worry about fucking needles or nothing no more. This shit is and you're out of there. But that was what was worrying me. And this week I went to the UFC. At the Friday night we were eating dinner, and some kid is waiting to talk to Joe. And he comes over and he goes, "Hey, man, I wanted to go to UFC, but they said I wasn't old enough. I was 17. And I can't go. My father won't let me go." And he goes, "Fuck it, I'll just give you a ticket." And he goes, "Here's another ticket. Pick up a chicken on the way." So he ended up taking his father, and the guy's sitting next to me saying, "What can I do for you guys?" And I go, "Nothing." You know, he just did it on the kindness of his heart, really. You know, don't sweat it. So when he left, I asked the kid, "What does your dad do?" And he goes, "He's an anesthesiologist." I know what the motherfucker's going to do for me. So when he came back, I just asked him all the questions I could. He gave me his card. And he said if there was some problems, just to call him. But he goes, "Nah, just opt for the epidural block." He goes, "They rub the Novocaine on your back, and they stick a needle on your back like a chick that's having a baby, and you don't feel dick. So what? You don't get a hard on for 4 days. Who gives a fuck?" You know what I'm saying? Who needs a hard on when you could walk it out, bitch? I get a hard on now, but I can't
good.
walk.
So do you
What good
feel
is it?
better about it?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I do feel better about it. But the weirdest thing was at that UFC, it pissed me off because, you know, I'm really fucking superstitious. So I'm sitting there, and supposedly the night before, Joe went to a pool hall, and he gave some Korean chubby chick some fucking tickets for the UFC with her husband. So the Korean chubby chick shows up with another fucking guy, and they're sitting there. And I could tell the Korean chick's kind of annoying. Like, she's never been to a fight, so she's asking people a lot of fucking questions, you know what I'm saying? So right away, I go into my Deacon Jones mode. Deacon Jones was a football player from the 70s, and he was once on The Odd Couple. And he didn't say a fucking word, and Oscar asked him, "Why don't you ever talk?" And he looks at Oscar and he goes, "Because if you talk, you got to listen." You know what I'm saying? So when I go to those fucking fights, I just look straight and mind my business. You know, when people talk to me, I make believe I'm fucking deaf. And they'll ask me next day, "What was wrong with you?" And I just lie. I go, "I had a cookie. I had a pot cookie. I was stoned. I'm sorry." But basically, I don't want to fucking talk. Because when you ask me a stupid fucking question, when I turn, the guy gets knocked out. And I'm like, "What happened?" And you wanted to ask me about what day we were fucking leaving. Who gives a fuck? Just watch the fucking fight, you know? So I'm sitting there so I can see that this fucking Korean lady is a pain in the fucking ass, right? So there's these 2 Korean kids in front of me. The section's open. And they're watching Dong Kung Kim, who's a Korean kid who fucking is knocking the shit out of Sean Pearson. And I'm sitting there going, you know, and all of a sudden the Korean lady sits in front of these 2 Korean guys, and she starts asking them those stupid fucking questions like, "Do you know Korean? How long was the flight?" And they don't understand. These fucking people, these 2 kids, probably put their money away to fly from fucking Korea to watch Dong Kung Kim fight. And now this Korean lady is asking them stupid fucking questions. So I was going to stay home. There was no comedy show. You know me. I'm minding my fucking business. But the fighters were, you know, Brock Lesnar was fighting against Alistair, and I wanted to watch that. But my main man from Purdue was fighting. His name is John Fitch. He's only lost 1 fight in the fucking UFC, and he always covers. He's great when you bet him. I didn't bet him, but he was fighting this Fidel Castro-looking motherfucker, this Johnny Hendricks. So automatically, I was against the fucking Johnny Hendricks guy. So I was cheering for John Fitch. Finally, John Fitch comes, and I don't like fucking Asians sitting next to me when I fucking gamble. You understand me? You could be up $10,000, and all of a sudden you could be down $8,000, and all of a sudden turn around. There's usually some fucking Asian standing behind you at the blackjack table. And I'm not prejudiced. I fucking love all that shit. But when you gamble, I don't like nobody fucking around me. So right before the John Fitch fight, they walked right past me because I was in row H and I was on seat 23. So I could see John Fitch walk by. And I looked in his face and he was going to fucking win. I looked at Dave Camarillo. He hasn't fought 14 months. He had shoulder surgery. But I looked straight and guess who's sitting next to me? The fucking Korean woman. So I know he was a goner, John Fitch, right there. I felt it in my heart. And if he did lose, I was going to kill this fucking Korean lady. Because I didn't even bet the fucking game. I just liked John Fitch. But the kiss of death was going to sit next to me. And not to mention, I had another kiss of death next to him. Was Jose Canseco. We'll get to that fucking story in a second. So I'm sitting there, and it was the quickest knockout in UFC history. John Hendricks knocked out John Fitch in 12 fucking seconds. And that's the kiss of death story. I turned around, I asked her politely to get the fuck up and get the fuck away from me. Oh yeah, you know me. The kiss of death is the kiss of death. I'll play with people, but if I feel in my heart you were the kiss of death, you're fucking done. And I had her and Jose Canseco. The only guy I needed was the guy who was standing outside the World Trade Center when the fucking plane hit. That's all I needed, was to have the threesome of fucking bad luck. And now I got that fucking prick Jose Canseco, who at first was kind of cute. When he walked in, we were talking in Cuban. But then I realized the guy's the biggest fucking cunt in the world. And the embarrassing thing is, when I went to prison in '88, you know, he was like my idol when I came out, because there was no Scarface and there was Tony and there was fucking Jose Canseco. So I felt that if I followed Jose Canseco, I could make the Cuban people proud of me. They could be proud of me. You know what I'm saying? Even on my honeymoon, I talked my wife into going to an Oakland fucking baseball game against the Yankees. Name one man that has the balls to fucking do that. That's how much I loved Jose Canseco. And now, 20 years later, the guy's sitting next to me. So at first I was kind of happy, but then as I sat there, I was like, this fucking puke. He was my idol 20 years ago. And now he just, you know what he did for
like O.J. Simpson. He's like, I mean, he's not as bad as O.J. Simpson.
O.J. Simpson killed the wife.
Same kind of guy. He's like, you know.
He killed his wife and he went to jail. He's paying.
But even
for his
before he
fucking
killed his
sins.
wife, O.J. Simpson was a creep.
But he was a creep. But it had nothing to do with his football career. He ran for 100,000 yards.
Player.
Had nothing to do with that. This guy later on put an asterisk next to his career and everybody else's by writing a fucking book. Listen, you want to shit on yourself? That's your fucking business. But to dig, he destroyed like 11 people. He just came out and said everybody who does steroids, he shot steroids with them in the fucking
Well, you
bathroom.
could see. Listen, man, at that game, the Dodgers come out, you know, and they look like people. You know, they look like guys. You know, the A's come out, they look like
fucking robots.
I mean, they look like a different species. And we were like, these people, the Dodgers are gonna get killed. They don't stand a chance. It was like seeing children up against, you know, UFC fighters. It was like completely unfair.
No, those Band brothers were fucking huge. And
They were big.
And they were hitting the shit out. And you know, he did something nobody ever did before. He did a 40-40, which means you have to steal 40 bases and hit 40 fucking hits. You know, he was 6'4", 235 pounds. He was running a 4.40. That's fucking fast, Felicia. That's fucking really fast.
That's like Pro Bowl line.
That's amazing.
Running back.
But
Fast,
that all gets neglected because of what he did. OJ still keeps his fucking record, bitch, because that had nothing to do. He just stabbed his fucking wife 20,000 times.
And was a sleazeball before that.
He had nothing to do with running around up in fucking Buffalo. You know what I'm saying? Where it mattered. He had nothing to fucking do. Even today, he's OJ Simpson. Him killing his wife and him robbing somebody at gunpoint,
You know?
that's
Yeah,
something
they don't
fucking
put that
different.
asterisk
You got
next
to
to
deal
a
with
man's
that shit
name.
on your own. But at the end of the day, everything he had, you know, this guy didn't do fucking. He didn't do all those. You know, he didn't do half this shit. Later on,
He was
became-
incredible.
He was
football
incredible.
player.
And you know what's crazy? I read one of the finest fucking interviews ever in Playboy magazine. Was an interview done in October of '81 with Hollywood Henderson, the biggest cocaine head ever. And this motherfucker said, he goes, I snorted coke with every fucking black guy except O.J. Simpson and somebody else. He had said every night he would fucking come to L.A. and he would rent a limo, and him and the Pointer Sisters would go pick up Richard Pryor at the fucking Comedy Store. Tremendous fucking story.
What a
Really?
fun night.
Wow.
That's
That's
a
a
keyboard
fu-
player.
Wow.
That's one good night.
And that was good nights.
Pointer
That's when
Sisters
people,
and Richard Pryor.
That's when motherfuckers were really freebasing, you know what I'm saying? With the silk stocking.
know.
We're back, bitches. Felicia Michaels.
Joey
You
Diaz.
sexy motherfucker. Happy New Year.
A Happy New Year to you, Mr. Diaz.
The fuck you looking at, Felicia?
Jamie just had a
Will you
big fat
give me the
fucking
evil
fight
fucking
off
eye?
camera.
The evil eye don't fucking work on me,
Mom
Dad.
and Dad are fighting. Oh.
The evil eye don't work on me, Felicia Michaels, cocksucker.
Oh.
So in the studio we have musician extraordinaire David Barrowald. Yay!
Hi.
Yeah, you gotta get the energy up for him. and
There
shit.
we go.
There you go. Now, what's happening, beautiful?
Well, just, sitting here being beautiful. That's about it.
What's going on with you?
Geez, I'm teaching.
So what are you teaching now?
I'm teaching survival in the record business.
That's fucking teaching some heavy duty shit. You're a very interesting type of fucking dude. I've been watching you for the last year at barbecues, family functions, and you got it together. You're a cool dude. Now, what Felicia never told you was that, and half of us, before we became a comedian, my aspiring was to fucking become a musician. But I knew that it was a long road and it was tedious, and since I was a criminal, I didn't know if I could pay for lessons every week and continually go for lessons.
And compete,
So
right.
I never picked it up. But now it's too fucking late. I'm 48. So I live vivaciously through people like you and other fucking musicians. Is that the word? Vicariously?
It's
I
a
think
good
it-
way to live.
Vicariously or whatever.
I think
so
that's
I
good.
like
You could
stories.
use it that way too, yeah.
You know, when I go on a movie set or a comedy set, like when I met Felicia, I would have Felicia give me stories about the Comedy Store, like Richard Pryor stories. I like all that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I like the true history of this stuff, you know?
Yes.
And with me now, I mean, every fucking day I threaten myself, today's the day I'm going to go to the Guitar Center and get the starter kit and take lessons. But I'm such a fucking pussy, you know?
Dude.
I'm such a fucking pussy. It really is. And, you know, I
4
cry.
chords. You can
Oh,
He
you
is a
have no-
pussy at the Guitar Center. We went to the Guitar Center to get all the mics, and I
Well,
had
the
to
first
fucking
mistake
do
is going to
all the
Guitar Center.
talking.
Oh, I just go
Don't
and
go to
It was
Guitar
not
Center for that.
good.
Well, it's just to me going to. For me, you guys grew up here, so people will go. You know, don't go to the Guitar Center, bitch. That's easy for you to say. I go to the Guitar Center like in Hollywood, and I just
No, go to True Tone in Santa Monica and ask somebody who actually cares about it.
okay. No, I'll do it. But for me, going to the Guitar Center, seeing all those guitars, the sperm literally comes out of my ears. So one day we're sitting here, and Felicia was saying, yeah, you know, when you left, Felicia goes, yeah, you know, he played a lot of interesting people, you know, Sheryl Crow, and that's when I fucking stopped because I always wanted to know what happened. Because July of '94, I won tickets from a radio station to go see her at some Boulder thing at the Fox Theater.
Yeah.
It was like a conglomeration of bands.
It was radio. It was a,
It was
the
a
Gavin,
radio
It was the
promo
Gavin
thing.
Radio Commission.
And then a year later, I was paying $40 for the bitch, and all I wanted to do was have some fun.
Right.
And then started the controversy, you know. And then the second album was kind of weird. And the third album was like studio sessions or something, and I still have that album. But after that, I just heard different things about the Tuesday Night Club, and you're gonna fucking break it down for me once and for all, as honest as you can be. I don't give a fuck.
How did the Tuesday Music Night
How did you
Club
meet
even
Sheryl Crow?
start? Yeah,
Yeah.
how did that even start?
Okay, the Tuesday Music Club started. There was a group of really dysfunctional guys.
Where at?
It was in. This is in Pasadena.
Okay.
Guy, wonderful cat named Bill Bottrell. Terrible. Anyway, great cat. Had the studio. He was mixing Pink Floyd and Michael. He was working with Michael Jackson. He was doing some heavy shit, and he had a very well equipped studio in Pasadena. And this kind of very small cadre of musicians kind of started working there. You know, we were doing stuff, and we'd made this long album together, and had gone through a lot of exciting nights and days, and didn't want to let it go. You know, so we kept going. You know, we had the studio, and we had the band, we had the players, and so we just kept playing, and we didn't really have we called it the Tuesday Music Club because it was Tuesday nights. It was like a beer night. It was like a bowling night or a night at the shooting range or whatever.
And you
know,
would tell me, and I could come and play the bass 2 songs. A bunch of guys, or was the same guys?
It was the same guys. Yeah,
Okay,
it was
the same guys.
It was like 4 or 5 guys, and the occasional guest. And then at a certain point, Kevin, the keyboard player, multi-instrumentalist, Kevin, great cat, said, my girlfriend, has got this problem with A&M Records. She's about to get dropped, and she's made this shitty record.
Right, didn't get released. The one that she was really bad.
Right, it was a terrible album.
Terrible album,
Terrible,
right.
terrible, terrible. And so we were like, yeah, sure, why not? Why the fuck not? And So she came down, and we just kept on doing what we were doing. Except now we had a female who could sing. She was a really good singer, and you know, it's all kind. You know, we were very experimental for a long time, and then finally we arrived on the kind of sort of Fleetwood Mac kind of thing that we did. And
how did John O'Brien get in on that?
well, John O'Brien was. I mean, you know, on some levels, you could say he was my oldest friend. We were born in the same tiny little town in very southern Ohio, basically the Kentucky border.
And John O'Brien was the guy that wrote Leaving Las Vegas.
He wrote the novel Leaving Las Vegas, yes.
And the movie was based upon his...
The movie was based upon his book, and the book was based upon some, you know, an idealized version of him.
Now, you just mentioned something that was really interesting. You mentioned that the band was like in a Fleetwood Mac type of way. What did you mean by that?
We kind of evolved into that. You know, we started out sort of like, we started out sort of like Captain Beefheart, and after about 3 or 4 weeks of working with Cheryl, we had sort of evolved into a much more like, you know, a Fleetwood Mac kind of a thing. You know, kind of a smooth, very California.
Okay. I didn't know if you were talking about the Lindsey Buckingham thing with her, and they broke up, or they were making the album.
No, nothing like no.
I'm sorry.
No, I was just thinking strictly musically.
Yeah,
Just that we were just that kind of thumpy rhythm section. You know, that was kind of what, at least I was.
How is the process? Because I don't know that much about the music industry, and so you say you're having this Tuesday night music club, and then Sheryl Crow comes, and she's had a deal, and then she's in. How did it become like? Turn into kind of her band, you know what I mean? Like, that's a base question, but how did all these guys who are huge songwriters in their own right, how did that come about to turn into that
first,
for
we
her?
We weren't huge songwriters. We were, you know, we were respected cult figures, you know. But
but you guys wrote some all those guys, like, they worked with and wrote some big songs.
Yeah, I mean, there was
right?
a lot of, you know, I mean.
But Sheryl Crow had the deal.
It's not like we were.
Sheryl Crow had the deal, so she was the hot one. So.
Yeah, and it's, you know, as soon as you give her, you know, as soon as she had the record, you know, she was able to do whatever she wanted to do with it. So.
So how long did it take you guys to make that record?
It was about 7-8 months.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't, you know, like continuous work, but I mean,
you started from scratch on a new album. So after she did her album for A&M or whoever the fuck that didn't get picked up, what did you guys do with that product? Did you scratch?
We were just fucking around.
And
you know,
start from did you start from scratch?
Yeah, we started from scratch. Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, because there was nothing to it. I mean, there was nothing salvageable in that.
Okay, so
nothing.
You started from scratch.
Yeah, not
so
even that we.
You were a part of all. That's a great album. That's a great album. You know that's
a really good. I'm proud of that.
It's a really good album. You should be very fucking proud of it.
I am.
That's a very good album. She sold it well. You know,
she did. She worked her ass off.
But the music is great on it. So. The album, when I seen you, what was going on? 94, July of 94. Was the album released already?
Yeah, it must have been. Yeah, because
yes, because she was, or was there a single released?
Yeah, it was like 93 that we were in the studio. So yeah, it was like 94.
94,
yeah,
July 94.
Yeah.
And then 8 months later, which is probably December, January, I seen her headline. And the first album was fucking, you know, all I want to do is have some fun and. You know, I'm strong enough, and you know,
leaving Las
Vegas, and you know, so now we have a problem. Now, the shit hits the fan. The album hits. She goes on Letterman. I don't know the whole fucking story.
All right, okay.
We got time. We got bourbon. We got cigarettes. We're like fucking the Blues Brothers. Ooh, a little something for Felicia.
I've heard about those parts. I've heard about them.
We got bourbon. We got cigarettes.
Oh my God, Joey.
You got me all. You got my ulcer going, cock like that. You know what I'm saying? The shit hit the fan in more ways than one. Let's just say. You know what I'm saying?
I don't want to think about that particular image right now.
No, don't worry about it. It's not stinky. It's.
So when did you start to get nervous about the whole proposition? You know.
Well, oddly enough, it was right after that day.
Boulder.
It was right after the Gavin convention in Boulder for me, because I happened to be there.
And what did you see?
Well, it was nothing that I saw. It was just that I happened to be there, and you know, I was with, you know, we spent some time together, Cheryl and I, and then the next day when I flew back to L.A., my telephone was filled with these messages from John O'Brien saying, you know, you fucking asshole, I can't believe you sided with that bitch, blah, 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 blah. you fucker, I'm gonna kill you, blah 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 blah. And so I'm like, Jesus Christ, he's really upset. So so obviously I called him, and that's when I found out that he had actually shot himself. He was dead.
Now, what was the reasoning behind him shooting himself?
Well, the reason behind him shooting himself is that he was going to shoot himself
Anyway,
Yeah,
he was one of those.
I'm not
guys.
saying that. Yeah. He
The
was going to
Sheryl Crow
shoot himself.
situation pushed him over.
The Sheryl Crow situation maybe made it happen 10 minutes earlier than it would have, but what it did for me, and this is always a subtle distinction, I never blamed her for his death. What I blame is the situation for John shooting himself with that level of rage towards me, who didn't deserve it. It just bummed me out that I was held responsible for something that I really had nothing to do.
Now, what did Cheryl do to get Josh all fired up? What was the situation? John, I'm sorry.
It was just.
She took
Well, it was
credit
the
for
first
the
thing.
album.
The first thing was that she took his credit off of the record. The second was she started taking credit for his stories. That they were her stories.
But she did that on Letterman, right?
She did that on the David Letterman show. And that was the first thing that set it off. That's what set off the final kind of spiral out, freak out that led to his death.
And after the death of this guy, what was Cheryl's situation? What was your situation?
Well, I called Cheryl. Obviously, the first call I made, I said, Cheryl, I need to tell you that John O'Brien is dead. And you got to stop doing what you're doing. You can't just take credit for shit outside the band. It's one thing if Bill or me or Kevin, that's what we signed on for. But these outside people, they didn't sign on for that. So you can't just grab what they did. It's not part of the deal. And she was like, "You need to talk to my lawyer." I was like, "What? Yeah." So you look at me like, "What?" Yeah, that was my exact reaction. What? Talk to your lawyer about what? Talk to my lawyer. Blah blah blah. Click. That was it. And so I got pretty pissed off.
And that was the last time you spoke to Cheryl, pretty much?
Pretty much, for a long time.
And whenever you made contact with her, or made contact with you?
It's always very cautious.
Hello, how are you? Now, I got to ask you something. Did you ever get money for putting that album together?
Oh, of course.
Okay, so she didn't chisel you on dough right
No.
It was the writing credits that you guys.
It wasn't even that. It was just the general sleaziness of the whole thing. It was just. I don't know. I'm sorry, man.
No. What happens in the comedy
No,
business?
yeah.
This happens. It
It happens everywhere.
Me and
It happens in
Felicia and you
academia.
sit down.
Yeah.
I
It
come in
happens
here
in
and tell you guys a
architecture.
story. Felicia says it's a funny story. David adds 2 tags. You add another tag.
Yeah.
I go on Letterman. It's a brilliant fucking bit. Where did you get it? I wrote it myself one night when I was watching Law and Order. Right away, 2 people, even at a small level.
Right.
Even at a small level, it must fucking kill you. I can't even imagine on a national fucking masterpiece album like that. I can't even imagine.
Well, John took it particularly hard, I have to say.
Oh, fuck. I would have. Felicia would have. That's
Well,
how
the
we
thing
are.
is, the thing is, here's the thing. The thing with John O'Brien is that John had this terrible fear and terrible feeling that he was always invisible. And he was. He could walk into a room. He would walk into this room and he would disappear. He would look like the drapes. There was something about him that made him vanish, which is one of the things that made him such a good observer and writer. But it killed him because he was always the other guy. Here's a chance for him to get some recognition. This is before the film or any of that kind of stuff, and it's taken from him, by his best friend.
Now, the film was written and he sold it.
Yeah, he
got
wrote the book.
rights to
Yeah.
it. Okay, so he was happy there. It was the music part of it that was lifted from him.
Yeah, exactly.
Did he write the song "Leaving Las Vegas" also?
No. But the whole character of Cheryl on that first record, if you look at the actual record, is based on Sarah, the character in John's book. That was.
Oh, okay. He does have a funny story. Tell us a funny story about Strong Enough.
Oh. Hey, grab me that guitar, and I'll show you.
This is a live fucking Ons podcast, people. We ain't fucking around here. You understand me? And see, just smell that fart. It was invisible, just like John. Nobody smelled that fucking
didn't
fart.
smell a thing.
That's lentil soup from the No Hold Diner. You know what I'm saying?
So. So that existed.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Ricketts had this. And it was cool. And, we had this whole thing, and Brian McLeod was playing this kind of djembe thing, and everybody was kind of, but we didn't, but there was no tune, and Bill goes, Dave, go write a lyric, which is what he often did in those days. And so I went across the street to the bar, which was a gay bar on Colorado. And there's these guys in there, and they start talking. And they basically say the lyrics of the tune. And I just start writing down what they say. This couple, I need a strong man. Lie to me, I'll believe, but but I need a strong man. I don't know if you're strong enough.
I promise I believe.
Yeah, and I just wrote
God,
down
I
everything
feel like
they
hell
said.
tonight.
Yeah.
That's the jam. God, I feel like hell tonight. That's a jam.
You asked to help you understand.
Are you strong enough to be my man? My man. Oh yeah. This is a fucking beautiful jam, man. And that's it.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's fucking amazing.
That's how it worked. Well, there's all kinds of stories like that. Like, Sam and Dave, Hold On, I'm Coming. You know that song? Big tune, right? Sam and Dave, Memphis.
Yeah.
The story of that is the band had a groove going, and Dave was taking a shit. And they're like, Dave, come on! We got a groove going, come on! He's like, hold on, I'm coming!
The rest is history.
That's the way these things happen.
Things, yeah, the simplest thing.
If you have a rhythm section, if you have a good rhythm section, every stupid thing you say can become a song. Every stupid thing. If you have a good rhythm section that's ready to just blow, anything you say.
The music business has changed, but those four chords remain the same.
Exactly right.
And you know what's crazy? In the 80s and 90s, it seemed like they were replacing the musician. You could never replace the musician. You could synthesize. Even now, I mean, there's no big bands touring. There's no fucking tours. Thank God that these old musicians that play music are coming back. Thank fucking God. Because these kids would never see real fucking music. Rihanna goes up there with what? Who's out there that plays real fucking music? Coldplay, the other fucking guys, 3 bands. When I was a kid, there was 90 fucking bands, and everybody had to be good. And everybody had fucking great albums, 9-song fucking albums. Today, what's the last good album you fucking listened to? That even
I'm digging. There's actually 3 bands that I'm really digging right now.
Who are you digging right now?
I'm digging M83.
Okay.
I'm digging MGMT.
All right.
And I'm digging Foster the People. Foster the People. The pump, all the other kids with the pump. That's a fucking great song.
Great little jam. Yeah.
But
the problem is they're going to have one song and this a fucking peer because guys like you aren't around. There's no more 9-album bands. There's no
exactly
more 3-album fucking bands.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm saying.
And
that's what the fucking problem is.
And that's exactly what I'm
trying
addressing.
to change.
That's
I
exactly
love it.
what
I
I'm
love
addressing.
it that you're doing this.
I'm working, yeah.
Anybody can have a first album. You've had your whole fucking life to work on your first fucking album. The second and your third is where I fucking judge you. Don't talk to me with a good album. Don't talk to me. I don't give a fuck.
Because that's one thing that there's no doubt about. Because you have had your whole life to prepare for that.
Your
first
whole
record.
fucking life for that
and
first
then
album.
That record comes out, and all of a sudden you're in Italy, and you're in Czechoslovakia, and you're in trouble, and you're drunk on TV in fucking Poland, whatever. and your whole life is unsettled in a way that you never could predict. So you take this poor person that had to that did take a whole lifetime to come up with one record, and now you take that person, throw them into a fucking blender, and say, now come back and do that again right now.
It's fucking tough.
With a hangover.
It's fucking tough.
And with everybody watching everything you do.
It's fucking tough.
It's really tough. So there's no infrastructure to build. That's where people like, that's where the pop, the really good pop organizations like Katy Perry right now and Bruno Mars and all that kind of stuff have a great support team that's not like exposed to that laser beam thing. They can kick back and they can actually, remember what it is actually to do what they're supposed to do musically. Because otherwise you can just get chopped up.
There's no more Led Zeppelin 2s, brother.
Led Zeppelin,
tough.
the opera. Led Zeppelin was actually like a pirate ship, through the music business anyway. It was like avast, avast.
It's crazy. I've talked to Felicia about it, that they had a manager.
Try not to ever do that in front of me again.
There was I've spoken to Felicia various times about that how their manager, Peter Allen, I think his name was a fucking
gorilla.
Gangster. It was a fucking gangster. He did something in the 90s. Everybody spoke about a booking agency here in town that had Seinfeld and Lenny Clark, and what they did was they got hip to it. They waited till these comics got really hot, and they contacted every club and said, "Listen, bitch, Seinfeld's available for 4 weeks. You don't even pay a deposit. That's ship sailed. We need his whole check up front." So they did this to a bunch of clubs, and they fucking disappeared. One of the guys came back. A few of the guys came back. Peter Allen, that manager.
Are you talking about Spotlight?
Whatever, the people. Peter Allen was doing that in the 70s and in the mid-70s with Led Zeppelin. When you hired Led Zeppelin, he would contact you and say, "Look, you have the Oakland Coliseum, whatever, I'm just saying. You have 23,000 seats. Again, I'm just saying. Tickets are $80 a piece or whatever. This is the end result. I need my check." "Well, we'll send you the deposit." No. You didn't seem to understand what I just told you. We need our check. We get paid before Led Zeppelin even signs up. They did things that they were gangsters. But the music was gangster.
And he walked around with a loaded cane.
Yeah. But the whole thing was to do that.
What?
A loaded cane.
Yeah, the dude was a gangster. To do that, your music had to be
A
gangster.
cane with like a 6-pound piece of shot in the handle.
Oh,
So that
walking cane?
Yeah.
so then
This
swing
guy
it,
was
it's
the
like-
real
it's
fucking
like
deal.
Oh,
Real
really?
deal. And if you watch
Bad
It's One
weapon.
Remains the Same, there's a scene where they're selling pirated T-shirts at the Garden. And he's just going off. And I'm not talking about going off. He's calling these guys bloody fucking cunts for stealing from Led Zeppelin, the bloody name of Led Zeppelin, you motherfuckers. It is brilliant. You just sit there going, what the fuck is this guy talking about? And then whatever Plant takes it into the, Since I've Been Loving You, you forget about the whole situation. Right there, you know what I'm saying? Fucking tremendous. You follow me? But that's what kills me about music, that I'm waiting for somebody to knock me off my seats. And nobody knocks me off my fucking seats. I find
There's
myself...
some good music out there right now.
I
I gotta say,
myself-
man, that M83, man, it's a good
I'll
band.
give him a shot tonight, man. I'll give him a
M83 is
shot when I
good,
get home on YouTube.
and MGMT's got some really good.
I'm
tunes.
over there listening to the
I like
Cars.
MGMT.
They're good.
I'm over there listening to the Cars Candio to get my rocks off this afternoon, smoking dope
You know
with
what?
3 hands.
There's similarities between the
need
Cars.
you.
I would say between the Cars and these bands. I would say
Sunday dress, groovy rain. Dun, 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 dun,
The Cars were
Candio.
great.
First 2 albums. Then I made the mistake of going to see him on the album with the fucking checkers on the cover.
Bad concert.
Oh, people were moving back. There's 2 or 3 bands that I ran away from. Them, yes.
Why the Cars?
Towards the end, after the second album, the Cars were all done. I'll tell you who else was horrible fucking live. All 4 times I seen them, Aerosmith. In the early 80s, late 70s, they were horrible. The Heroin, I seen them open up for Ted. They were terrible. I seen them by themselves. I seen them after Joe Perry left. They were
Oh man,
terrible.
I saw Joe Perry solo at the
I seen him.
Music
I
Machine
seen
on
him.
Pico.
I
Wow,
seen him.
that was depressing.
That was 83. 81, I seen Joe
Yeah,
Perry.
that sounds
You know
about
who
right.
opened? You know who they opened for? Motherfucking Heart at the Radio City Music Hall. I had the blonde by the ankle. I had eaten a Quaalude. You know what I'm saying? Whenever I ate a Quaalude,
By the way,
I was not
most
responsible
underrated
for
rock
my-
and roll band. ever, Heart. I think.
Yeah, I believe
Yes.
so too. Yeah,
No,
yeah. I
Nobody
would
thinks
say
twice
so.
about them. They're like, oh, well, they're good for. No, they're not good for a girl band. They're just a good band.
They're a good fucking
Yeah.
band.
They're great.
I was very fortunate to meet the bass player. He lived in Boulder. So I would break his chops the way I break your balls about music and ask him stupid questions. You know, I'm one of those guys that'll just, if you let me, I'll ask you stupid questions to death about fucking music.
Well, I'll ask some stupid questions. I don't care. So, what's the best moment in music you ever had where you were like fucking just blown away?
I'll tell you. You know, I'd been in this terrible amount of trouble that we referred to earlier. We talked about, and it looked like everything was starting to clear up with that. And we'd made this record, and the record company was supporting it, and people were digging it. They were liking the record, and I was driving from the Valley into Beverly Hills on, I guess it was Laurel Canyon, and the sun was setting, and just as I crossed the hill into the sunset, that's a beautiful sunset, my tune came on the radio.
Really?
Yeah. You know, there was a special, you know, there's this guitar intro. And driving all the way down, you know, the canyon, down to Sunset, listening to my tune, it was just, yeah, that was probably, you know, that was 25 years ago.
This is a song you had written, or this is the song that you became?
Yeah, song I wrote,
famous
sang,
for?
you know, song I co-wrote and sang, you know.
Now, if you don't mind me asking, if you don't mind me, I know you had a #1 hit in the 80s, like a...
No, it was not anywhere
What was
near.
it? It was a popular song. It was on
It was a
MTV
very
and
popular
shit.
song.
You had a video on it.
Yeah, yeah,
And what
yeah.
was your name then?
The group was called David and David. The record was called Boomtown. Welcome to the Boomtown.
Okay, that's it. Fucking. And how was it then? Like you had gone through your shit in your life. Like
Yeah,
had gone through-
I was blown away. Are you kidding?
And then all of a sudden, and this was the song you had on the radio, Boomtown, or no?
Yeah,
This is something
yeah,
different.
around the world.
No shit.
Yeah, yeah,
And you were on MTV.
a lot.
No shit.
Yeah.
And at that time, when it was fucking
No,
bad.
they made us. You know. MTV really they did. You know, we were portable. We were portable. We were cute. We were, you know. I mean, you know, that was our problem, is that we were ultimately, you know, we were a corporate invention.
What year was this?
87.
But David, at the end of the week, do you all not think they're all corporate inventions at the end of the week in a way, to some degree? Even fucking Bob Marley, what they've done with him, even to a degree.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all, no matter what you do, you know, we all want to avoid it. But when it comes to music, if they don't fucking touch you with that gold finger, it's very tough. You know, I remember.
Well, that's true.
I remember going to Boulder and hearing Joan Armatrading for the first time.
Right.
And saying, how the fuck didn't I ever hear a Joan Armatrading before? The music is beautiful. Then I bought the album cover and she looked like fucking the guy in the Little Rascals. You know what I'm saying? So it's tough to, you know, what's the...
Yeah, see, they kind of make
Yum Yum,
Macy
eat 'em
Gray
up.
look like a Playboy.
You understand me? So, and I'm not saying I'm no fucking Charlie St. Cloud myself. I'm not a handsome guy. So what I'm trying to say is that it's very tough to market some people. Right, the good-looking guy, whatever his name is. But, you know, it's like, remember in the 80s, at G&G Music Factory, what was that?
CNC Music.
CNC Music Factory hit that song, and the chick sued him because, you know, she sang the song, and they had a black chick that looked like Janet Jackson, but in reality, it was a chick that wore, you know, it was Precious' his aunt.
Since we talked about your best moment, what was the worst in the music business where you were like, fuck, this is terrible?
Okay, this is the worst. All right, I've always had a little bit of claustrophobia, and we ended up on this 8-week tour through Europe with a lot of other bands. It was basically the top 40 in Europe at the time. So it was a lot of people, the Pretenders and Bob Geldof and Men Without Hats and all kinds of people. And so we're on this kind of bus tour through Europe doing these crazy shows, and Jillian, you know, anyway, you're surrounded at all times by these crazy kids. Like wherever you go, if you're in a bus, they're pounding on the walls of the bus. If you're in a hotel, they're pounding on the walls of the hotel. Wherever you go, there's these fucking kids. And I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. and they make your life. It's like being in the Birds. You know, it's like being in. It's like Lord of the Flies. You know? It is. It's this perennial pounding of all the and you know that there's all these kids outside, and you're trapped in this capsule of ego and just head trips. You know, of like all these bands and press and stuff like that. It's trapped. You know, in this like submarine. You know, you can't go outside. And finally, we found ourselves in Bari, on the Italian Mediterranean. Beautiful little town right on the Mediterranean. And we were in this fucking hotel, and the rooms are like shoe boxes, and I'm sitting in there, and I can't take it, and I go downstairs, and I can't take it. I can't take the fucking lobby. I can't take the coffee shop. Everywhere I go, it's full of fucking assholes, right? And so I say, I got to get the fuck out of here. And so I go to the guy that's running the tour, and I say, man, I got to get out of here. And he's like, no, you can't go. And I was like, come on, man, I got to go. He's like, no, it's too dangerous. And I was like, no, I'll sign whatever. Anyway, to make a long story short, I make a deal. I sign this thing. They put me out the garbage exit of the hotel, and I go wandering out into the sunshine. I'm like, wow, man, I'm free. And I'm walking, and there's sailboats in the distance, and I'm thinking, man, maybe I could get a rowboat, and I could like go for a row, you know. And so I'm walking down towards the thing, and there's these kids, and they see that I'm like dressed differently or whatever, they figure I might be one of these, rock star or whatever people, even though I'm not, But they start coming after me, and I'm like, I'll just walk a little faster, leave me alone. That doesn't happen. They walk a little faster. I walk a little faster. They walk a little faster. But now I'm walking into the town. I realize this town is barricaded shut. Every fucking door, every coffee shop, every store, everything is barricaded shut with huge wooden shutters, like they're prepared for a storm. Nothing's open. And by this time I'm kind of jogging, and they're jogging behind me, and now other kids have seen them jogging and think, oh, there must be something interesting going on, so they start jogging too. And then after a while, and all of a sudden, all my paranoid, freaky shit kicks in, and I just start running, and so then it's a sprint, but every fucking place in this town is closed, and so there's no place to run. There's a telephone booth. Fantastic. I get to the telephone booth, but I can't figure out how to get the goddamn door open. I can't open the door. And the kids catch up to me, and by this time it's like I'm panicked, and I don't know what's going on with them. But anyway, something happens, and I feel violated, and I actually hit somebody. And then they get really pissed off, because now I'm a fucking asshole. Anyway, to make a long story short, I ended up in the fucking telephone booth. The telephone booth gets knocked over. I'm on the telephone with the operator going, Cantante Americano, SOS, 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 Cantante Americano. And then the phone thing dies. And then, within, like minutes, an armored car showed up with police in it, and they picked me up, and they just dropped me into the thing, and we're sitting there on the thing, and I'd had an earring, and it was torn out, so my earlobe is just pouring blood, and my shirt's all ripped to shreds, and I'm sitting there on the bench, and these three soldiers, and all of a sudden one of them just starts laughing. And then they all start laughing, and I start laughing because it was just so fucked up. I mean, it's not even though the kids knew who I was. I was just a guy, from someplace else, It wasn't like I could even take any pride in it.
Unfucking. Now you said that you wrote a song for Waylon Jennings.
Yeah,
get to
I
meet him?
believe it. I believe it
Did
too.
you get to meet him?
Yeah.
And he told you what he wanted, or you?
No, we had lunch. He told me some insane stories.
How was he cool? Was he cool?
Oh, he was the best. He was so cool.
That's
Although he kept on calling me Mark. He always thought I was Mark Knopfler. His wife was like,
hysterical.
Waylon, no, that's David. Mark was last week. It's like, well, he's just as ugly.
That's fucking
Thank you,
hysterical.
Waylon.
That's a great story. He kept calling you Mark Knopfler. Fucking great story. What do you think of the future of music now? What do you think?
I think
Where the fuck
I
are
think
we
people
going
are
with this
relentlessly. I listen. As long as humanity breathes a breath, ingenious youths will devise ways of moving each other with music. That's all there is to it.
It's a beautiful way to put it. I just wish there was more, you know. I catch myself listening to this music.
I think there's more than you think.
I try. I really fucking try.
Yeah, well, you have to remember
that.
one thing you have to remember is that the kids today are, what even when I started doing it, which was already towards the end of this, there was an infrastructure that supported creativity. You know, there were studios that actually operated well with professionals operating them. There were musicians that were, the best in the world at your disposal. There were experts in every area, voice coaches or whatever it is where you needed, the best microphones, the best rooms, None of that stuff is there. It's all people. It's all just kids. It's all just guerrilla fighters in their bedrooms with a laptop, trying to figure out how to make it work for themselves. And that's where it's at. I mean, and I think they're cool. I think they're really cool.
We do the podcast now. It's like making a song, because when we put the podcast together, we don't charge for the podcast. We're giving you the content for free and hoping that you'll come around, listen to us, and go to our comedy shows. Same thing with music now. I got to give you my fucking record. When I go to the farmer's market every Sunday, there's 20. I go home with 20 fucking CDs.
And that's the death of that infrastructure,
Yeah.
Because the thing is, there's a whole, there's 3 generations of incredible people that got chewed up by that paradigm that you're talking about right there. I mean, the great musicians in this town ended up being just destroyed by that.
Destroyed. I mean, it's amazing.
It's really tragic. And the studios, the great studios, Ocean Way gone, Sound Castle gone, Sound Factory gone.
It's amazing how, let's say, if I was a producer right now and I had a vision for a band and I was looking for the best musicians, like I said, fuck it, I'm gonna put together the best musicians, and I went after, let's say I was a drummer in real life, and they were looking for the best drummer. I wouldn't even get the job, even if I was the best drummer, because I'd still have to be sellable. They'd still have to sell me. Nobody wants to see a 48 fat fuck behind a pair of drums.
No, that doesn't matter.
So they'd settle.
That doesn't matter.
And the last time, I remember listening to the Blizzard of Oz, Ozzy's first album. That drummer was like 150 fucking years old. They dressed him up. They put wigs on him. They blew smoke on him. They got him to the show.
Yeah,
I forget
it
what the
doesn't
fuck.
matter.
Tommy Aldridge was his name. But it's just amazing how everything is a boy band. Today we have to put them together. Everybody has to be good looking.
Well, it's all the front four.
One guy has to have the goatee. The
Yeah,
other guy
there's
has
the-
to have the tattoo. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm
One's the
saying? They
sensitive
all
guy,
have to have the
one's
hat.
the
Right.
one's the
You know.
sexually confused guy.
What's the fucking band that kills me? Not the ones
Well,
that
they're all like that.
I
Boyz II
have it
Men,
my
they're-
way. Tell me why. The bad boy. He had the goatee, and now he's in rehab for eating pills, but he's the bad one. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Well, you can tell he was-
That fucking cockalicker. David, thank you very much for coming on the show. Thank you for being the first guest of the new year. And stuff
Well,
like
it's a
that.
great honor, and I've
bad
enjoyed
motherfucker.
I've enjoyed your shows.
Oh, good. Oh, good. All
Felicia, you
right.
want to tell them how you know this fucking cat?
Not really.
All right. then.
We had a fight earlier. No, forget it.
Not me, him.
No, I know.
No.
Thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it. And if you guys have any questions, please email us at beautyandthebeastpodcast@gmail.com, Or why don't you do us even bigger favor and go to iTunes and leave a sweet remark on the review section so that it helps us stay up there with the big boys, if you know what I'm saying.
And now for a word from our sponsors. As you've seen on Christmas Eve, we blew up fucking TaintedVisionArt.com.
That was the best infomercial ever, Joey.
So listen, go to TaintedVisionArt.com. They're having an after Christmas sale. They have a manufacturer's sale. They have a monthly sale. They got some neat stuff. What I did see that they had was a Taxi Driver collection 1, 2, and 3 by some famous artists, and they show like De Niro shooting a guy, but you can't tell it's De Niro. It's white with it's black, and they're like shooting him. Then his hand goes down. Then the third one is some fucking hookers on the floor or something like that. So it's Death Wish 1, 2, and 3. $5 for all your shipping, and also for your medical marijuana needs. Go to NoHo Dispensary on 4854 Lancashire, just to get the party started. Tell them David Beerwall sent you. You know what I'm saying, and get a free edible.
There you go.
There you go,
There
Dave.
you go.
See, not only are you a fucking top-notch musician, but now you're also an advertiser for NOCC. You're that type of Puerto Rican.
You know,
right?
I support that entirely.
I know you do, with 3 fucking hands. That's what I like about
Yeah,
you. You know what I'm
exactly.
saying?
3 hands and as many
Who
feet as I
gives a
can muster.
fuck? Hey, Happy New Year. Thank you. Good luck to you. You're a good man, Charlie Brown.
Cheers.
You had me drinking and smoking. I love it. Stay
right.
black. Give him a kiss, Felicia.
Mwah.
Ah,
Bye.
you sexy motherfucker, you.
Fuck you, Joey.
You got to leave all that fighting in. That was great.
That's great. That's what they want to hear. Fuck it. Save it.